Imagine a time when music wasn't something you carried with you, but something you sat down for. It lived in your living room, on vinyl records, cassette decks, and towering stereo systems. There were no Bluetooth headphones, no Spotify playlists, and certainly no streaming algorithms deciding your taste. If you wanted to listen to your favorite song, you had to be home. Then, one summer day in 1979, a small blue and silver device changed everything. It was called the Sony Walkman, and it turned music into something personal, portable, and deeply intimate. Suddenly, you didn't have to go to the music could go with you. That moment marked a revolution not just in technology, but in culture. The Walkman became more than a gadget. It became a symbol of youth, of independence, and of the power of personal experience. Today, we'll take you on a journey through how this pocket-sized invention conquered the world, changed how humans interact with sound, and eventually, how it quietly faded away, leaving behind a legacy that still pulses through every pair of earbuds we wear today. The birth of a legend. The story begins with one man's desire to take opera to the skies. In the late 1970s, Masaru Ibuka, the co-founder of Sony, had a problem. He loved listening to classical music during his long international flights, but the bulky cassette recorders available at the time were too heavy and inconvenient. So he turned to his engineers with a simple request: build me a lightweight, portable player that doesn't record, only plays. That single idea would spark a revolution. The result was the Sony Walkman TPSL-2, a sleek, metallic blue device that fit perfectly in your hand and ran on two AA batteries. It had simple controls, a cassette slot, and a headphone jack, but there was one feature that truly stood out: two headphone jacks, allowing two people to listen together. In an age before Bluetooth sharing, that was a stroke of genius. It transformed listening from a solitary act into a social one. Couples, friends, and even strangers could share a moment, side by side, soundtracking their lives together. Interestingly, the name Walkman almost never happened. Sony's American marketing team thought the name sounded awkward and too Japanese. They suggested alternatives like the Soundabout in the US and the Stowaway in the UK, but the name Walkman had already stuck in Japan, and soon it would stick everywhere. Within months of its release, the Walkman became not just a device, but a global phenomenon: the cultural explosion. By the mid-1980s, the Walkman had transcended technology. It was fashion, attitude, and freedom rolled into one. It gave people something revolutionary for its time: a personal soundtrack to life. For the first time in history, you could move through the world with your own music, your own vibe, your own energy. Whether you were jogging in Central Park, sitting on a bus in Tokyo, or strolling through neon-lit streets of London, the Walkman made you the main character in your own movie. Sony's marketing captured that feeling perfectly. Their ads showed people jogging, studying, laughing, all while wearing those now iconic foam-padded headphones. The slogan said it all: freedom to enjoy music anywhere. And people believed it.
Wanna hear my music my way, anyway.
The Walkman became an emblem of individuality and self-expression. It didn't matter if you were a student or a superstar, you could wear your music proudly. By 1986, Sony had sold more than 50 million Walkmans worldwide. The device was spotted on celebrities like Michael Jackson, Madonna, and even Princess Diana. Pop culture quickly embraced it. Movies, music videos, and magazines all featured the Walkman as a must-have accessory. Teenagers saved up pocket money for it, joggers wouldn't leave home without it, and entire cities started buzzing with people moving to their own beat. But the Walkman wasn't just a symbol of cool. It was a window into something deeper. It represented the growing individualism of the late 20th century. It was the first time technology gave ordinary people full control over their own sensory world. You could choose your music, your mood, and your moment, and shut out the noise of everything else. It was empowerment, wrapped in plastic and metal, powered by two humble batteries. The fall of a giant. But no technology reigns forever. By the 1990s, the tides of innovation were shifting fast. Compact discs, or CDs, promised clearer sound, skip-free playback, and the futuristic shine of the digital era. Suddenly, cassettes looked old-fashioned. Sony adapted quickly, releasing the Discman, the Walkman's younger, shinier sibling. It sold well, but something had changed. Music was no longer just about portability. It was becoming about digital perfection. Then, the 2000s hit, and with them, the true disruptor, the iPod. Apple's famous slogan, 1,000 songs in your pocket, was basically Sony's idea, but reinvented for a new millennium. While Sony had the hardware, Apple had the ecosystem. iTunes, a smooth interface, and a sleek design that captured hearts and headlines. The Walkman, once the symbol of innovation, suddenly looked like a relic. Sony tried to fight back with digital Walkmans, mini discs, and MP3 players, but the magic was gone. The world had moved on from magnetic tape to bits and bytes. By 2010, Sony officially discontinued its cassette Walkman line. It was the end of an era. Yet in its 3-decade lifespan, the Walkman had sold over 400 million units, an astonishing number that reflected not just its success, but its cultural dominance. The fall of the Walkman wasn't a failure. It was the natural evolution of technology. Every generation has its symbol, and every symbol eventually passes the torch. The Walkman walked so the iPod could run, and the iPod ran so streaming could fly. The legacy lives on. Even after its decline, the spirit of the Walkman never really disappeared. In fact, it reshaped the entire way humans interact with sound. Before the Walkman, music was a shared experience, something you played for a group. After the Walkman, it became personal. It lived in your head, in your ears, in your daily routine. You could study to one song, jog to another, cry to another, all without anyone else hearing a thing. It gave people permission to make music their companion, their therapy, their private world. And that influence is everywhere today. Every pair of earbuds, every AirPod, every noise-canceling headset traces its lineage back to that blue cassette player from 1979. When you scroll through your Spotify playlist or put on headphones to block out the world, you're continuing a cultural tradition that began with the Walkman. It changed how we move through space, how we perceive silence, and how we curate our own mental atmosphere. In 2019, on the Walkman's 40th anniversary, Sony released a special edition device. Not a cassette player this time, but a high-resolution digital music player designed to evoke the original's nostalgia. It featured a sleek retro interface with a cassette tape animation and high-end sound quality for the modern audiophile. It was a love letter to the past, and a reminder that some innovations never truly die, they just evolve. The Walkman's influence also extends to the social realm. It was one of the first devices to normalize the idea of headphone culture. Today, it's normal to see people walking, studying, or working with earbuds in, lost in their own sonic bubble. But in the early 80s, that was revolutionary. The Walkman changed body language, social interaction, even urban design. Sociologists noted how people started carving out personal zones in public spaces, little bubbles of autonomy in crowded cities. You could be surrounded by people yet completely in your own world. That in itself was a cultural shift as significant as any technological. The Walkman also played a subtle role in inspiring other industries, from fitness to filmmaking. Jogging culture, for instance, exploded in the 80s largely because of the Walkman. For the first time, running wasn't just physical, it was emotional. You could pace yourself to music, escape the monotony, and push harder. Meanwhile, filmmakers and advertisers used the imagery of the Walkman, freedom, youth, motion, as shorthand for modernity. It was everywhere, even in places you didn't expect it. The world it created. Today, the Walkman is a collector's item, a vintage piece of history. Yet, its spirit lives on in every song we carry in our pockets. It created a world where music isn't just something we hear, it's something we live with. It moves with us, motivates us, and mirrors us. That's the legacy of the Walkman. So the next time you pop in your earbuds, scroll through a playlist, or go for a walk with your favorite song playing, remember, you're walking in the footsteps of millions who did the same decades ago with a little blue cassette player clipped to their belt. The Walkman may be gone, but the world it created, a world where music travels with us, is here to stay. If you enjoyed this journey through time, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because next time, we'll dive into another invention that changed the world in ways you'd never imagine.